Hey there, everybody, and welcome back to week 2 of high school football. David and his declaration of war at the end of last week's show kind of threw me off, so I didn't get my usual sign off. And telling you guys to come back and check us out every single week during the football season. So if you're back, hey, thanks for being here. If you're new, welcome to Friday Night Spotlight, brought to you by Jones Ford Buick GMC, your hometown dealer for more than 50 years. As I mentioned, week 2, we are still just having the small schools play 3A down to 1A, and our game of the week involves a 3A school in Coolidge, and they will be hosting Tempe. David, what are you expecting from this game?
Well, first off, Maria, I'm glad I keep you on your toes still with everything going on, because I told you I'm laying down a lot with these picks, and I'm sticking to that, especially for this week, because we got a good amount of games coming up that are going to be some really exciting ones to watch out for. So our game of the week with Coolidge, the big story for them in the offseason was their quarterback, Gianni Mascalino, who transferred over from Eastmark. Was he going to play? Was he not going to play? Turns out we got our answer last Friday night. He is not playing. He is sitting out half the season per AIA's transfer rules. According to his parents, they are appealing that decision, but we'll see what that comes out. So as for the time being, right now he's still not going to be able to play. So Ethan Ramirez is going to take over and stay in that quarterback role, and he played pretty well last week. He had some good passes and good completions to his guys out there. So he's going to still man the role at quarterback. But Coolidge, again, like we talked about last week, this team is just has always seemed like they're on the cusp of doing something really great, and I think that's still true, even though they had a tough game last week in Tucson. But this week is perfect for them because they're going up against Tempe, and Tempe has been a struggling program for a couple of years now. They've not won a game in 2 years, so I think this is the perfect time for Coolidge to be able to kind of get themselves right, but also get themselves in that perfect regular season form of where they want to be and what they want to do on the football field. So it's a perfect game for them to get right, and they can't relax though. They have to be able to make sure that, hey, just because this team is a little bit less experienced and not as good as we are, we cannot play to their level. They have to play at the same Coolidge football level and play that same gritty style that Coolidge is used to and accustomed to. So as long as they do that, they should be fine here. I'm expecting some good things from them out of this game, and I expect them to win handily in this one. So I'm taking Coolidge in this one.
All right, and talking about Tempe, David mentioned their struggles. They are currently on a 17-game losing streak, which is pretty hurtful for the Buffaloes. They also did drop down a level. They were 4A last year. They are now at the 3A level. And on top of, all the things, it's kind of when it rains, it pours for this Tempe team. Last week they played Shadow Mountain. They lost 24-6. But also they are going to be without one of their star playmakers in Brian Strotter. He was ejected in the third quarter last week, so he is likely going to be suspended for one game. He won't be available for this Coolidge game, so that means that Elias Johnson, sophomore running back, the Buffaloes are going to have to rely heavily on him to carry this offense. Looking back at Coolidge, their running game, they've always had a very solid ground game. That's no different this year. They have a lot of different options with Belklam Namigabe, Gavin Gunter, and Maurice Glass, just to name a few. Defensively, I mentioned them in Gunter and Glass last week against Tucson Sabino. They did a pretty solid job trying to slow down the SaberCats. Unfortunately, they weren't able to do that in the second half. But we'll see how this game goes. Like David said, I'm also expecting this to be their bounce back week. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens on Friday night. David, what's your other game to watch for this week?
Yeah, for my personal pick this week, it's going to be Santan Foothills. And, this team, they struggled last year. They only won one game, and for the last couple of years, the story has been there's been a lot of turmoil, especially at the head coaching position. They've had numerous amounts of head coaches come through and leave after only 1 year, but things seem like they're starting to change. They had a really good performance last week. They won handily. They shut out their opponent, so this team is looking really good so far. They have a great running style with Emilio Soto, who's a senior this year. He's kind of the lead back for them. He had a great performance for them last year, so I expect him to kind of continue that and continue through this game. I think they finally found a foundation. Like I talked about, Coach Mike Carlin has come in last year. It was like we talked about, it was a tough struggle for them, but this year seems like they're finally starting to build on that foundation that they've been trying to build. I covered them a little bit in the preseason. I really like what I saw from them, and I think this team is definitely on the rise, and I think they could do something great. But this next game is going to be a real tough a test for them, because they're going up against Benson. Now, Benson is a team that has basically dominated 2A for the last 4 years, and they are now in 3A. They're making that jump, and this team has been in the playoffs for the last 4 years, and they were recently runner-ups in 2020, losing to Santa Cruz, one of our other Pinal County teams. So I think Santan Foothills definitely is going to have a true test with this one and see how they react to the big test. But there's also questions for Benson because this is their first year in 3A and how they handle the new competition that they haven't seen before when they were in 2A. So I really like this this game here, and honestly, I'm gonna take Santan Foothills. I'm gonna ride with them until I can't anymore. I know Benson is definitely still a tough opponent for them, but I like what they're doing right now, and I think they are using that foundation to their advantage. I like what they're doing right now, so SaberCats for me on this one.
All right, and for my game to watch, it is going to be down at the 2A level, and it is Sequoia Pathway traveling to Goodyear Trivium Prep. Trivium Prep did have their season opener last week. Sequoia Pathway was on a bye, so this is going to be their season opener, and it's going to be a very emotional one for them. Just this weekend, they lost one of their football players to tragedy. As always, it's something you never wish upon any community, so I expect this Pumas team, it's going to be emotional. It's going to be a bit difficult, but I think they're also going to find a purpose in this, and they're going to have something to fight for all season long. Looking at them, returning for them, we got to talk about the Banks brothers in Norian and Kyrese. Norian led the team last year during his sophomore campaign with 111 tackles. 42 of those were for a loss, and combined with his brother, they had 22 sacks for 130 yards. And talking to Coach Donnie Margarum, he said that the line is going to be the strength for this Pumas team. And these two guys, they didn't see a lot of time on the offense, but they're going to see that this time around. They're going to be the running backs. They are the only returning rushers from last year's roster. And it's going to be key here because they have a very young quarterback. They have 2 freshmen in Vinny Sanchez and Nasir Daly. So it's going to be key for the returning guys to kind of try to establish some leadership roles, some level of comfort for all these new guys coming in for Trivium Prep. Maximus Seif, a running back for them last week, he rushed for 160 yards, scored 5 touchdowns. It's going to be up to the Pumas to try to slow this guy down and get this win on Friday night. Real quickly, I'm going to give you guys a chance here to view our picks for the week. David, is there anything else you want to add?
I'm just saying, go out and go support your local teams. They're playing this week. We still got more coming in the next coming weeks. Our 4A teams are getting ready to go, so get ready for those as well. But right now, it's the small schools' time to shine, and they're going to do that this week. I think we're going to have some really good games to look out for this week.
As always, check us out over the weekend to see how our teams did, and check back next week.